Hello, mate.
What are you doing? We can see you, can hear you.
You see both of us, all right, yeah?
Yeah, I can. My bloody AirPods just went.
Yeah,
No,
mine
they're
don't
dead.
work.
Yeah, thankfully mine do work. So, yeah, they'll probably die halfway through this because I never charge them.
That's all right. Can you hear me okay and everything?
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Normally we struggle. I take it you're on a laptop or a computer.
No, I'm
If
on
not-
an iPad.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I think if you're on a phone, it obviously shrinks it down to just one person on the screen. But can you see both of us? Yeah.
I can see you. Yeah, I can. Hold on. I can
If
see
you
you.
go on.
swipe it,
I've done it.
I was
Do
going to
that.
say, I think if you swipe it, yeah, cool, perfect. Yeah, to be fair, we never tend to have much of a script, but we normally have a few questions. But in this instance, we feel like you're going to know more than we do. So
I hope so. Let me just move my pants from the background. Just do my edit. I was going to wear a Southend top as well. I was going to dig out the splat, but I thought,
Oh, you've got
Real
one.
dusty.
Yes. I haven't even got one.
I've got the home end away.
that's like antiques.
That's, yeah.
That is
yeah.
antique.
Like, hello, like the big antiques.
How you been, though, mate? You all
I
right?
need to get one.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just getting a bit bored of this now. I was all right with it. You know, I spend my life kind of during the day doing nothing, walking around in my pants. You know, that's my life anyway. And then go and do a gig or maybe go and do voiceovers or whatever's happening, talk sport, I don't know.
Yeah.
And but now it's just, oh man, it's just nothing, is there? And I know people are doing gigs online, but I don't know if you can do stand-up like that.
It's
Yeah,
not the
It's
same.
not the
is
same,
it?
is it?
It just looks like a shit audition. Everyone I watch, they're like doing some sort of desperate audition.
Yeah, it's just a bit. It's not for me, that.
No, not for me either. No. But you boys, all right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean-
the same as you. Really, it's just bloody boring, isn't it?
Yeah, no football either. That's killing
And
me.
it's the not knowing. I've said from sort of day one. I said I think obviously they could never have done this, but if they went, it's going to end June 15th. I think you'd been like, right, at least I can work towards that date now. But the constant not knowing, it's just Groundhog Day, isn't it?
Well, when we start as well, even if it ends, the season ends, are we still going to get, the points problem? We're still going to have that?
What, the potential points deduction, or?
Yeah, because of playing the rock. Who did we play
Yeah.
in the end that we shouldn't have played? Who was it?
I think a lot of people seem to think it was the 16-year-old, was it Coca? But I don't think it was. I think I'm right in saying it was Mitchell Nelson, the centre half. And the problem was, again, this could be totally wrong. I might have to cut this out so I don't get the club in trouble. But I think it was because he'd been on loan at Harlow.
That's it, yeah.
And for some bizarre reason, I think they actually held his registration. We didn't. So in theory, we've played a Harlow player, even though he was on loan. Yeah, a mess. Right. Just a proper paperwork mess.
The whole thing is a mess, isn't it? I mean, you could lay the blame anywhere, couldn't you? You could. I mean, I always think back when Steve Cavendish left. I think it when not having a CEO is a bit. Maybe Ron thinks he can do it himself, but I think I don't think he can. I think he needs someone to help him with all that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get bullied, don't you? You get bullied as a chairman. You get, we need this player. All right. Well, whereas Steve would have gone, no. You can't have that.
You look. The recruitment was actually pretty good when we had Steve Kavanagh.
It was really good. It's gone back to the John Mayne days. Poor old Johnny Mayne. Bless his heart. He was such a nice man. He was just so lovely.
We watched a little documentary on your YouTube channel actually about the
we did our research.
What, NYFC?
Yeah. And he's on it.
He is on it. And I'll tell you what, which was really sad, when he was resigning, he rang me in tears.
Oh, really?
He rang me in floods of tears. He was just absolutely distraught about having to give in. And he rang me, of all people. I'm like, I can't do anything. People always seem to ring me about Southend United. Can you sort this out? Like, my mate Jalili, obviously, He goes, my nephew's brilliant. Can you get him down there? And I'm like, what? So I rang Ricky Duncan, and Ricky went, yeah, come down and train and whatever. But I think it's because he's from America or something. He couldn't play. I don't quite know the ins and outs of it, but But everyone seems to come to me. It's crazy. Yeah, all right. I'll sort it out.
Chief
But
Scout.
yeah, John Mayne, very sad. That very sad.
So did he just resign then? That's a bit before my time, really.
I think it all just went a bit. It all went a bit pear-shaped. I think what he was trying to do, and his wife was very much involved. And we had shirts. If you can ever see those shirts, they got Pierce Sports on them, and I think they were trying to do their own. They were trying to make it, what it was. Unique colours, unique shirts. Real bespoke sort of thing. But
the thing is, I still remember that's not a bad idea to try and create an identity. But
I love it.
It's having the deep enough pockets.
No, but if you look back to the old Beaver kits and all that, when we had blue shirts with yellow shorts.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I said before, I love the blue and yellow because it's the sand and the sea. It's the seaside town. I love the blue and yellow.
Yeah. And then there's the peg stuff that I know we're changing now from Nike, aren't we? But the worst thing is, you get enough stick, don't we, as Southend fans anyway, from people saying, what's your real team? Who do you really support? And then you say, well, Southend, and they go Southampton, and you go, no. Yeah. I forget it. All that nonsense. And then the next thing you go in and watch Sunday football and you got your West Ham mates going, look, there's your off the peg night stuff. That Sunday team playing in. It's just like, yeah, you could buy it for $9.99.
Yeah, I met somebody at a works the end of last year, and I told him that I was a Southend fan, and he thought I said Southampton. I had to very quickly correct him. I was like, no, we only lose 7-1, not 9-1, mate. We're not quite that bad.
7-1. Oh man, who would have thought that was going to? Well, no, you could see it was going to happen, but I'd written that off out of my mind actually.
Yeah, 7-1. Sorry to bring.
And I didn't go that night. You know that.
I didn't go.
No.
I also didn't go.
Did none of us go?
No, I know. But, I'm a pretty decent fan. I get to as much as I can, really.
Yes. How often do you get to go these days?
Due to
obviously not these days, but
most home games I'll go. My son comes with me. He's been coming since he was 6, and he's well into it. It's lovely. He's 13 now, so he obviously takes a lot of sick off people. But I've heard him on PlayStation before. People giving him, when they're talking on their mics, and I've heard him going, "How many games have you been to? How many games have you been to?" Tottenham fan, and I can hear him going, "I've been to 6 Tottenham games. How many times have you been in the Tottenham dressing rooms? I've been in the new stadium." I hear him, and he goes, "I don't even support Tottenham." Southend. He gives it to people. It's great, It is, but it's tough being a lower league fan. It was funny the other day. I saw that Man United apparently have lost 28 million over the coronavirus, and I thought, well, what's that? One player's leg. I mean, 28 million. Can you 28 quid a kill us?
I know. It's like, obviously they're hemorrhaging money right now, all these clubs. But I saw a similar. It was I think it was the Swansea chairman or chief exec come out and said we're going to lose $1 million, and somebody just replied to it saying, right, well that's only like one less player. You're going to spend £1 million.
That's exactly my point. It's exactly my point. It's a player, isn't it? And you probably could buy the whole of the 4th division for 28 million quid.
Yeah, you probably could.
You actually could.
And I think that's the thing is I think people miss the passion of people who want to go and watch football. And that's the thing I love about being a Southend and lower league fan is, we don't get, I try and say this to people all the time, we don't have all that rolling around and diving and all that. We don't get any of that nonsense. It's good old football, it's good. You feel like you're part of something. You don't feel like you're like one of a mass, it's brilliant. And, I've always, I've been supporting Southend since, 1983. 1983. I'm old. Gee, we went Northampton Town, and we came back and we won it 3-2. I think Richard Cadet had just started playing, and my favourite Steve Phillips was playing at the time. I used to love Steve Phillips, and then Melvin Colston was in goal, Merv the Swerve. And I remember at one time when it was, the pitches were horrendous, weren't they? And I remember the ball went over the net and it landed just behind the North Bank. We used to stand behind the wall, me and my mate James. And the ball sort of rolled down the net and went out for a corner, but it was all in the mud, in this sort of a big pile of mud. And I remember sort of just throwing the ball back. And Tony Hadley, obviously not a Spandau Ballet, Tony Hadley, right? He wasn't looking. He was getting ready for the corner, right, him in the eye. with the ball, and then Buster Footman had to come on and wash his eye out and all this. It's hilarious. And bless his heart, Buster's gone now, isn't he? Which is a real what a character he was. I tell you what, I remember in the home dressing room, they still got the bath. I don't know if you've been in the dressing room. They still have the old-fashioned bath, right? Yeah. And they put showers in them now. But I remember being in that bath after training once, and there was me, Neil Gray, who had the most enormous penis, right? I have to tell you that. The reason I tell you is because poor old Neil Gray was really embarrassed about it. And all the lads, what they used to do is they knew that, I remember one time he bought it's by these giant condoms. And they all knew that he had them. So they got them all out of his bag and blown them all around the dressing room. He was not that kind of person. He was quite upset. But yeah, Neil Gray and Paul Newell, Tubbsy. And so we'd all been training, and then a couple of other goalies. And then Jim Stannard, big Jim Stannard, was in the bath with me. I was left with Big Jim, right? And he's a bit, he's a bit different. And I remember Buster coming in. Because Buster wasn't very big, but he was a stocky fella, And Buster said, "Right, Jim, get out of the bath because you got a physio." And then Jim told him where to go politely, And he's a big man, Jim Stannard, And he went, "Get out of the bath now." And Jim stood up, right? And I'm sitting there. I'm only a kid, right? I'm sitting there watching this, and then he hits Buster, right? He hits Buster, and then Buster takes it, and then he spanks Jim back, right? And then it's kind of this weird gentlemanly thing. And they both went, "Right, okay, we've proved our points now." It's like, and I'm sitting there as a kid going, "I don't like this. Don't like violence anyway." And then the next time, I come out getting changed, getting dried off, and he's on the table having physio from Buster.
You just hit him.
A very strange, funny thing that happened. But anyway.
So yeah, I'd have loved to have lived in that era. Just like a few, say 10 years younger. I'd have loved all that. Yeah. To have been kind of 18 years old and experienced, sort of the 90s, certainly the 90s, yeah.
Well, the thing about then, of course, about bleeding on like an old man, but I speak to a lot of old pros about this and whatever, we cleaned the stands, we went out and painted them. I remember Nicky Smith, I never saw him do this, but when Smudger was playing, he allegedly used to go up the floodlights and clean them. I don't think that's true personally, but he has it that he used to go up and do them. I never saw him do it. But, we'd go and clean the stands and you'd do the boots and, and that's what it was. And you have to work hard. They're not allowed to do it now. I don't think they're even allowed to do it. I think there's some sort of health and safety, or they're not contracted to do that or what have you. But it was good to be kicked in the arse. I remember once when we moved to Basildon, we started training down in Basildon. I don't know why we did it. I was saying to Tilly not long ago about that. Why we started training down at Basildon, the running track. And I remember running around that and being a goalkeeper, not the fittest. And I remember Dave Webb was manager at the time, and he would boot you. I mean, he'd physically kick you in the arse, kick you. You'd never do that now. You'd never do that now. And I remember one time as well, where they used to do the boot polishing, so what had happened is you get the young apprentices, right? Sounds like Star Wars, doesn't it? The young apprentice. And I remember we were in the gym, which is down by the away dressing room. And I was in there with Mickey North, funny enough. He's a big tough guy. He was the toughest kid in our year. And funny enough, I went to the same school, but me and Mick were in there cleaning up in the gym. And I remember the lights going off and the door shutting and everyone just piling in and me going, "Uh-oh." And they honestly kicked 7 bells out of us, and I had boot polish in my teeth, I had it up my arse, I had it all over my balls. It's like the army, they used to do that in the army as well, You'd never be allowed to do that now. I mean, that was terrible. I tell you, the instigator was, God rest his soul, was bloody Justin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bloody Edinburgh, yeah. And it was funny, not funny, but 2 weeks before Justin died, I was at a sports do here. There was an awards thing in Chigwell, and I was talking to him, and we were talking about that time, about how you could never get away with that, and how ridiculous it was that they would even do that to you, And then sadly, 2 weeks later, unbelievably, my son said to me, Justin Edinburgh's not very well, and I was like, what? And then it turns out he, unbelievable, terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just in the gym, wasn't he? I think he was just in the gym, and
I think he was in the gym. From what I know, I've got a friend who knows him really well. What I heard, he was in the gym and he wasn't found for like 15 minutes. So by the time anyone had found him, I think it was game up. It was game up. I mean, you know, we'll talk about it. Family might be listening and all that, but I think that was a sad thing, and I think it was hard for the family to, dare I say it, turn off the machine, if you know what I mean. Because I think he was already his brain had already gone, so he might have ended up surviving, but being not what he wanted to do. You know,
if you're starved of that oxygen for that length of time,
it's
never good. But I remember the same thing to you. We obviously we knew what had happened. We knew that he'd collapsed or whatever, and there was a couple of days where you didn't know what was happening. I remember I saw it on my phone, and I was like, "Fuck me, he's died."
Yeah,
like,
49 as well.
Yeah, just like total shock. Like I don't know why you knew it weren't good. You knew it wasn't good news that what had happened to him, but you're expecting how he looked pretty fit. He looked relatively healthy. You'll think he'll pull through, and then you saw that, you're like, oh my god, he's died.
Well, I remember seeing Egiog. It was Ugo Egiog. I remember seeing him. He was at a game, and he was down the tunnel, and he was talking to Ricky Duncan. I don't even know what I was doing in the tunnel, but anyway, I was maybe doing some half-time draw because flipping Mickey G got me to do it, but and I said hello, and then he died, and I rang Ricky and said I can't believe it, and he said to me that he just said to him that he's 40 and he's fitter than he's ever been in his life, probably the fittest he was ever, by far fitter than when he was playing football.
Crazy.
40. So
scary.
Enjoy that.
Very, very scary. No, you're right. You are right. Very scary that. Like,
yeah.
I'm only 10 years off that.
Oh, flipping! I'm well on it. Oh man, but yeah, and you're crazy. Just on the last of the dark subjects, I remember going to. I went to. It would have been 2000 and was it 2000 or 2001? I can't remember. You'll make it right for me, I'm sure. And I remember flying to Australia to do the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and I landed. This was the days where you'd have to get online. You'd have to go online. You didn't have phones and stuff. Even that, like just only 20 years ago. And I contacted my mate James and said, "How did we get on? I can't remember what the game was about or what we played." He went, "Haven't you heard?" And I went, "No." He goes, "About the referee."
Oh yeah. Mike.
I was like,
Mike
I
North.
thought you were joking. Yes, Mike North. Yeah, and I went, "Yeah, just shut up. Don't be stupid." He went, "No. I was like, so the crazy things that happened.
I was there.
Was Rob Newman manager then?
Quite possibly. I think it was 2000, 2001 season.
Yeah. It definitely was around that time.
Yeah, I remember it. I was about 10 or 11. I can't remember.
Were you there? You were actually there?
I was there, yeah. I can't remember the game at all. But like, I remember seeing the ref fall over and you get the classic, hey, because like the ref stacks it sort of thing. And then there was like it was like, oh, he's not getting up.
Yeah.
And then the two physios from both teams come running on, and then the players are starting to like look a bit sort of shocked. They're covering their mouths and whatever. And then very quickly you realise that something's seriously wrong. I think at that point my dad just took me out. Knew the game was going to get abandoned, and my dad just took me away.
Yeah, rubbish.
Crazy, isn't it? Think about it.
But on a good subject, the things I do remember, good ones. I remember my favourite save. I'm just giving. You're not even asking me questions. I'm just asking.
No, please keep going.
My favourite, because people always say to us, "Your favourite goalie," and that's because we've been so blessed as Southend fans. That's kind of the irony of what's been going on. Although to be fair to Mark Oxley, if he came for things, he'd be a good goalie. He just doesn't come for anything. The only time he come out his box last season when he punched the geezer in the corner. The only time he came out.
No, you are right. That year he got Player of the Year. He was unbelievable.
That's what I'm saying. So
he's fantastic.
Knock him. He's a good keeper, but he just doesn't come. The main thing you want from a keeper, I think, is to get your fist on it or catch it. You know what I mean? On the corners and the crosses. Everything else is a bonus, right? And if it goes in, it goes in.
That confidence then that reverbrates through the whole team. If you've got confident
and then
keeper.
of course you've got then the unsettling with Smith, and then they're putting Ted in goal, and then he's now injured, and you're now the main keeper, and you're in, and you're now the keeper, and then then young Barrett comes in as well, and it must be horrible, you know, to go, well, am I number one or not here? You know, it can't be as bad though as poor old Paul Smith when he got pulled off at Oxford. He weren't happy.
I remember being there for that, and he walked around, like he walked off behind the goal, or walked around and walked straight down the tunnel. And
he was not happy, was he? I was there as well, and I remember. The thing is, if you know Paul Smith as well, he's a very placid, kind of nice,
gentle giant, isn't he?
Unassuming man. So to see him get exceedingly angry, although to be fair, Sturrock, great move, wasn't it? I mean, you know,
it works. So yeah, it works.
Got to have some balls.
That's football, man. That's football. That's the point. It's a team game, isn't it? It's not about you. It's about, you know. But anyway, going back to the goalkeepers, we've been really blessed, haven't we? Right back from, you know, Dan Bentley, of course, recently, and then, you know, then you get into Royce and Flahaven, and then of course old Mervyn Coulston, I loved, you know, and then Sammy, and now Margaretson is I always call him Margaret, I don't know why, but he's now the England goalkeeping coach, isn't he now?
Yeah.
But the best save that I ever saw, and what made me think about it when you were telling me about the referee, I think it all goes quiet. The best goal ever, was Bradford made they got a corner, Bradford. It was at the Southend, and Bradford got the corner. And anyway, Royce was sort of on his front post, near with the ball. And they made a substitution. This like little Brazilian guy come on, and they must have timed it brilliantly because he just ran to the back post, and they stuck the ball over the top, and you just see Royce really caught off guard, and it was like someone picked him up, right, and then made him horizontal, and then pushed him backwards, and then he went to the very back post like a tube, and then he just, with his hand, just brought it over and flipped the ball over the top of the bar. And I've looked everywhere for it on YouTube, and I've never heard the crowd go. Everyone just breathed in and went quiet. Everyone went quiet, and then all of a sudden, everyone went. It was unbelievable. It's probably the greatest save I've ever seen, and it's probably up there with the performance of Paul Smith at Brentford away in the cup. Did you go to that?
Yeah, that was insane. That. And
the most annoying thing about that was the same weekend as your man was playing for Newcastle at the time. What's his name? The Newcastle Norwich keeper, Krul. Tim Krul. They were all over Krul because he made 14 saves, and it was the same weekend. And I was like, he's just made 35 amazing saves, and it was quite funny. I can still remember to the day when who was their really tricky forward with the braids?
Donaldson.
Birmingham.
Clayton Donaldson.
Yes, Wayne. Yeah, Donaldson. And I remember when he scored eventually, he powered this one right across the goal. And I remember seeing him literally look at Paul and go, at last, at last. It was incredible. Did you go to the game? Were you at that game?
Yeah.
It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
The penalty save, isn't it? It's the best penalty save I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, all of it, everything. Even though you can't see when you're at that Brentford end, can you? You can't. If you're at the back of it, you can't see the goals. Yeah. But they're going to get a new ground and everything, aren't they? So
yeah, but that's it's probably the best goalkeeping display I've ever seen. I don't think I've seen a better goal. He made about, like you say, about 20 odd saves.
It is without doubt the best goalkeeping performance I've ever seen live, and from a Southend goalkeeper. But consistently, though, for me, I think Darryl would take it really, because Darryl was just consistently phenomenal. And I remember when China, what's it called? Spearmint Rhino, right? It's now, isn't it? In Tottenham Court Road. But originally, they tried to make it a stand-up club, and they did this opening night at the Improv. That's right. And they did an opening night, and they got loads of people to come along. And I remember I was sitting next to what's the lovely fellow who was at Arsenal? He was the chairman, David Dean.
Oh yeah.
I sat next to David Dean, right? And I said, I really hate doing this because I don't want him to leave us. I said, but you should really come and look at the Southend United goalkeeper, Darryl Flahaven. He's insane. And he went, we've already looked at him. And I went, well, what do you think? You didn't think he was that good? He went, no, we thought he was amazing. And guess what they said? He's too small.
Classic.
Too small. Yeah. And that's just such a sad thing. I sat there and went, it's nonsense. It's nonsense what you're talking. It's complete nonsense. It's a phenomenal.
Sad. He could have played in the Prem.
Say again.
I think he could have played in the Prem.
Unbelievable goalkeeper. You know, if he'd been like that another 3 inches or whatever he needed to be, he definitely would have been. It was steady as they come. And then, of course, he got you know, towards the end, it all got a bit messy, didn't it? Because he'd obviously had enough of it, not, you know, being ignored. I suppose you would.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
There's a common theme there, isn't there?
Yeah, goalkeepers and getting ignored.
Yeah. So what happened with you? Because it's on your Wikipedia, ever reliable Wikipedia. That were you 14 years old?
I was 14. I was 14, and then we finished when I finished that year that I left school, coming up to, so I had about 6 months of YTS, as they called it, and then I just got bombed. That was it. Because I wasn't good enough, man. I'd like to say I had a bad injury, but you know, even at that level, you know, you've got to be really, really good. I don't think people realise that, how good, you know, 4th division and even conference players, how good they are. You know, they're freaking amazing. You play with them, you think, gee, you are something else. You know, so. But when I think the fact that when I started, Spinner was started with me, Spencer Pryor. Yeah. And now he's long finished. You know, that's how life just can go by. We were 2 kids, you know, playing. But I always knew that he would go on. He would break through and carry on. But at the time, it was.
What year was that?
That would have been the end of '87, going to '88 probably. The end of the beginning of '88.
So was there other keepers there with you that did get kept on and then go on?
Yeah, Paul Newell was there. Tubbsy played. Paul was there, and he went on then to Orient. Paul did, and then he went on to Darlington. And in fact, I went and saw him play in a playoff at Wembley for Darlow. It's quite funny. It's quite funny thinking back on that. So yeah, Paul would have been there. Who would have been the main goalkeeper at that point? Just can't think. Is it?
So 87.
Wouldn't have been Sammy, would it? No, it wasn't Sammy. Might have been Jim Stannard or someone like that. I can't even think. Everything gets moulded up together. It's like a mush. But yeah, Paul was definitely there, Paul Newell, because he was from South Woodham as well. So, and his brother was playing at the time. And there was another kid, Froggy, Nicky Thurston. He had a few games. He was from Woodham. And there was another kid. Do you remember that other young boy? A lot later on, though, who came from South Woodham Ferrers as well. And he played about 6 or 7 games, and he was really good, but he just got caught up with being out with his mates and stuff. And he just Scott Scott. Oh, it's going to bug me. Anyway,
what sort of era? What sort of year?
I reckon around about 96, 7.
I can't remember. I mean, that was my first season. No, 97, 98 was my first.
Someone will be screaming at this now. There will be, yeah. And he weren't a bad little player, but I think he got caught up with girls and booze and nothing bad, but just I think it took over from, you know, some people it doesn't suit, does it? It doesn't suit. It didn't really suit me, to be honest with you. For one person who ended up doing what he does for a living, I didn't like that, what you call banter in the dressing room. I hated it. I found it a lot of bullying. I didn't like it at all.
It is really, and what you were saying earlier about the polished stuff, like you hear so many stories like that just happened. It was just the thing, like the news story, or whatever. The initiation, like
so all that. Imagine being around when like Roy was playing, Roy Madonna and all that. What they would have been up to, like, and
we spoke to Roy recently.
Paul Robertson and like Dave Martin and all that lot. But while we're on the subject, how many Dave Martins have played for flipping? How many Dave Martins have played for Millwall? I don't know. It's a really weird question. I think I've had about 5 Dave Martins. One in goal. Yeah, I didn't like that, and I'm wondering if that's what's happened with Ted Smith. I don't know. He said he liked the training and stuff. It's a shame about Ted, isn't it?
Yeah. Loves training, but didn't like playing.
Come to the game though. You know, it's a different ball game, isn't it? Excuse the pun. It's not. It's the same ball game, but you know, you walk out when you walk out onto that. If you're not good for pressure like that, then you don't really want to be doing it, do you?
The thing is, though, it's become, and it needs to be addressed more, like the struggles that not just footballers, but like what everyone has with mental health these days. And especially at football though, it's so easy, especially for a keeper as well, that you're stood there. You imagine being stood with all the away fans behind you, like, and can't move, can you?
Well, you know how thick football fans can be. Not all of us, boot bits and all that shit. But imagine being Danny Gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how much stick did Danny Gay get, poor son?
I would have personally, I'd have gone a bit Brazilian and just put Danny on my shirt. I'd have had to go for the first name.
I know, and he shouldn't be ashamed of it. And he shouldn't be ashamed of being gay either. But I mean, you know what football fans are like? Oh, I've got to tell you. 2 years ago when we played Millwall, I will never forget. You won't be able to put this in because I'm going to swear badly, but I will never ever. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. When Danny Bentley, who we all know is a great goalie, decided to have absolute terrible game and two of the biggest mares of his career. And then he did the first one. Do you remember? And they were going, Bentley, you're Bentley. And he went on and on and on, right? And then the best man, I'm sitting with my son. They said, what are they singing? I said, they're singing Bentley, you can't. And he's sitting there going, they're not. And I'm going, no, they're not. And then he makes another complete balls up. And they went on for about 10 minutes. And they did not stop singing Bentley, you're and in the end, it just became hilarious. There was 2,000 people behind him going, Bentley, you're Bentley. Poor man.
Yeah.
He so isn't. And he's just like, he has a howler, he makes a mistake, which gives them a goal, and the next thing, he's
The thing is, but that's obviously where he does have a very thick skin, because he certainly he never had 2 bad games in a row, did he? And
no, he didn't. And I remember one
he's
time
doing really well for himself now.
when he's because I sit in the blue and I sit over by the North Bank, so I'm in the blue right there. And a lot of the players' wives and all sit there. And I remember once his missus losing it with the crowd because a few people started blaming Danny, right? And I went to go kind of, hold on a second, you know what I mean? Like, the geezers are unbelievable. Don't start laying at the Danny Bentley. And she just went ballistic.
Beat you to it.
Yeah, she started going, I don't know why he's here. You people, really give it to him. And I was like, and everyone just went, having a go, have a go.
Yeah, the second someone pipes up, a family member, anything like that, everyone sort of shits themselves a bit.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, I tell you what, what was it? The end of the season, we played. I can't remember who we played. And I pride our club, right, for where I've sitting. People may argue this, there's one thing that was very disappointing. We won't talk about Cambridge and what have you, but that was a shocking thing that happened there. But generally, our fans, shut up! generally, our fans are, spot on. And we played a game there, and then someone from up behind me, I think, I'd never seen this little lot before, and someone shouted out, right? Some people would say they reckon he shouted out, "You fat, see you next Tuesday," right? But he off the pictures. Hold on. Someone reckons that he shouted out. He didn't. He said he called him a black, right? Basically. So I turned around and said, "Shut your mouth, this racist mounted prick," right? And everyone went to me, Terry, leave it. Everyone started going, "What are you, Terry, leave it, leave it." I'm going,
yeah.
And the stewards didn't do anything. And I was like, wow.
When was this?
I'm just trying to think when we played against. It was one of the last few games before the Sunderland game.
The Rochdale.
It might have been Rochdale.
Yeah, because Rochdale was like a rent a firm that day. I don't know where all these lads crawled out the woodwork for that.
Right, so that's what it was then. And I was like...
I weren't there. You were there, weren't you? I'm not saying you heard that, but there was other things that day that were just...
I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted. I thought, we don't do that here. This is not what we're about as a club.
Yeah.
No, and I just couldn't believe that. I think everyone was telling me to leave it because they didn't want to kick off. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
But I'm like, mate, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. I'm just not. Having
you, especially like the social media world we now live in. All you got to do is someone gets that on video, sticks it on Twitter. I'll say.
And then Southend are a racist club.
Yeah.
Southend United racist club, and we are so not that, Do you know what I love? My favourite thing is when they go, Southend's a shithole. I want to go home. And some of the clubs that come and sing that go in. Are you joking?
Scunthorpe, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, really?
Yeah. It's like we're playing Walsall.
There were some nasty bits. You don't probably go, I don't know what York Road's like anymore, the Curzon Estate, but, you know, it ain't that bad.
My dad's response to that always is, well, go on then. Like, no one's holding you here. Right?
See you later. Do you go with your dad a lot then, do you?
I do, yeah. I still go with my dad. Yeah.
That was when playoff. That was without a doubt that playoff game when Pickett scored that goal is going to be that's the greatest moment in my entire life with football, because my mate was there who'd been going with me since we were kids, James. His son was there. My son was there. My dad was with me. And my other mate, Gary Jackets, were there. So the whole little firm there, you know. And when Pickett scored that goal, I swear to you, I thought I was gonna faint. Did not. All I was all in slow motion, just watching my son going like that, and my dad going, you know, like this, and me just thinking, I'm going to go over here. And then when we won that penalties, which was just beautiful. And then the great thing was, you know, people were poking me, going, Terry, it's your song. And they kicked in mine and old Sperling's, you know. I was sitting on the stool at Old Green Stool.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, with the Seasiders, the sole providers, and I was like going, oh man, this is amazing. It was just amazing. It was just, and the other thing is, when I got home, watched it about 50 times, of course you did, but the first time I watched it back, which was brilliant, was watching old Ginger. Do you know Ginger Lee?
Yeah.
Like, probably the most famous hooligan we've ever had, right? Not one to celebrate about hooliganism, but it was just hilarious. Just one person out of all the thousands.
I know what's coming.
Ginger going mental. I remember we used to stand behind the old North Bank, and then we had names for them. It was Ginger, and all these little cronies would be around him. And one of them we used to, funny little bloke, and he was called him Bungle, and they were all crazy gang they were. And we played Aldershot, and you know, they're like the old troops and all that. And I remember I was standing by one of the girders in the North Bank, and my mate suddenly had moved down. And all this is like Aldershot, doodah, and all that. And I'm thinking, what? As I was thinking, what's James down there for? He's not saying to me, come on, we better get out of here. Because he'd kicked right off. Right? And someone's just grabbed my head and smashed me into this girder. And the next thing I know, this flash over comes flying over. I'm in tears now, because I'm only about 13 or something. I'm like, it's just kicking up around us and all that. Like, just getting all stuck in. It was just hilarious. Just big, fat, old, not they weren't even old, but just these big, greasy blokes fighting these mental military fellas. It was just hilarious. Me getting my head smashed into the girder. I don't remember much of the rest of that Aldershot game.
No. It was something me and Scott were talking about actually before, and we couldn't work out what game it was. We thought it was.
Yeah.
We thought it was the Freddie debut, but it turns out it wasn't. But when you got re-signed for a month.
No, it was the Freddie debut.
Oh, it was the Freddie debut.
It was. I thought it was.
Right.
It's the story of my life, boys.
Literally before you joined, I was on Soccer Base. I was looking up that game because I was like, I swear it was the Freddie game. I swear it was. I've got the squads up, and you're not on it.
No. I tell you what, I was in the squad, but what happened was, this is the truth for what happened, right? So I played in the match on Sky One, right? That was great fun. Did that. Then of course Flavs is out. Someone else was out. What was the big Swedish or Norwegian guy?
Bart Grimmink.
Thank you. He's out. So they ring up, right, and say, look, why don't we do this thing where you sign for Southend, right? And it was all on Sky. I was on Sky signing and everything. It was unbelievable, right? It was unbelievable. My phone was going mad. I had Eamon Holmes keep ringing me up going, Terry, please call me about this. It was just really mad. It was the most bonkers thing, you know. And it was all a bit, you know, I thought about a big publicity thing, right? But it wasn't. It was true, and it was happening, right? It was all on, like I said, on Sky. And then we get there, and I started training with him, and until he said to me, look, you know, I'm going to have to get a keeper in because, and I said to him, I totally agree with you. I said, because this makes a mockery of our league, really. You know, all of a sudden the comedian's now the goalkeeper. So I said to him, look, I'm all over this with you, right? So he got Ryan Clark in. And then he had the young, he had one of the young boys.
Nicky Morgan. And I literally, I haven't remembered that name. I've literally got it about half
well
hour
done.
ago.
Yeah. So Nick, well, I say young, big lad, Nicky. So he said, I'll put Nicky on the bench. And I went, oh, okay, fine. So he said, but we'll do the publicity and you warm up and all that. He said, but,
right.
And I was totally with Steve because, you know, he's played football all his career and all, but I just thought he's a bit minging, right? So, but I sit on the bench. Freddie makes his debut, right? I've got my moment. I'm sitting next to Eagle, right? Andy Edwards. And then that little firm over, you know, the little firm over with the drum and all that over in the West Stand.
Yeah.
I think they're singing Tilly, Tilly, give us a wave, right? Tilly, Tilly, give us a wave. And Andy's going to me. Andy was going to me, you're going to give him a wave. And I went, what? He said, look, they're going, Terry, Terry, give us a wave. And I went, oh, no. So I did it, because I thought they're going to mug me off or whatever, you know, but I just sort of waved. And then they all started going, England's number one. England. So that was really nice. And of course then, you know, story of my life. It's all about me, innit? You know, Freddie completely upstages me. 7 seconds and a hat-trick. Just unbelievable. Then he kicked off over in the corner as well. And the best bit was watching, there was a bit I maybe never forget. He's kicking off and there's a steward who was in the middle, right? And he's got one side, he's kind of got pushing back the Swansea fans, and then he's pushing back our fans. And then you could see him think, oh, fuck it. And he just starts laying into the Swansea fans. It was brilliant. So we had all that. Then, of course, Tilly says to me, look, but I'm going to do this for you, right? Because we were flying at the time, if you remember. Mm-hmm. And then we got beat in the, was it Johnson's Paint Trophy at the time? Was it Johnson's? Was it Johnson's Paint Trophy? Was it where we lost a Crew or Blackpool? I can't remember. Anyway, we went out.
Blackpool was first.
Was it Blackpool? Then we went out, didn't we? We went out of that and then we tumbled in the league. Do you remember? And I think we went to the playoffs and then, of course, we won 2-1 and Chuppy scored, didn't he? I think it was that year. But Telly said to me, he said, look, you know, we're flying. And he said, at the end of the season, there's nothing to play for a game. And he goes, I'm giving you 10. I went, what? He goes, I'm give you 10 minutes. You know, so you're actually going to make your debut for Southend United, of course. What, tits up again?
That would have been unbelievable.
Brought you on in a playoff semi-final against Northampton.
Yeah, I'd have been on, but it's just hilarious how that atmosphere. I remember I got a part. We're going to play Tonka. I was going to play Tonka in Harry Bassett. Right. So I've got the part. I'm playing the part. I've been asked. These were the times when I actually got asked to do things. And because I was sort of hot at the time, if you like, and a certain actor who played the lead took a disliking to me, so I got the fucking tin tap, didn't I?
Really?
So that's the story of my life. I was like, so I should have been playing Tonka in that film, but I won't mention the actor's name, but yeah. We worked some scenes and what have you, and he decided, they rang up and said, look, I'm afraid that a certain Mr. T don't want you. So I was like, what? Can he do that? Well, of course he can, because he was at the time, you know, he was big bananas, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What, didn't like sort of way you were acting, or just didn't
fancy it? Could have been my acting, could have been my attitude. I don't know. I think I'm quite a nice bloke, but I didn't feel in any way, you know, I didn't feel there was any animosity between us. I didn't. You know, but I've had a few falling outs with some. Leslie Phillips is the best one. I mean, I did this thing for Mars Bar, right? Okay, it was for Mars. It was a student tour. It was me, him, Ding Dong, right? And who's the? What's the nice girl? What was her name? That girl who was found on Brighton Beach. Not like that. That sounds like someone who's dead, doesn't it? Lucy Pender. That was her name, wasn't it? Lucy Pender. Do you remember her?
Yeah.
Lovely girl. So it was me, her, and Phillips, right? So we get to this thing, and we're going to do this tour of these student unions for Mars. And, you know, I'd been with these people working out this game show thing that we're doing, and then we all turn up, and he turns up for the first time. Nice to meet you, Leslie, and all that. And I said, right, what we're going to do, guys, and he goes, excuse me, who are you? And I went, what? He went, who are you? I said, well, Terry. I said, I'm hosting the thing. He goes, why are you telling me what to do, right? And I was going, oh, no, this is all good. And then it went wrong, big time. We had to be called up to these big people at Mars and sat down together, and told to behave. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm sitting next to Leslie Phillips, and he's going, who is he? And I went, my name is Terry, you know. And he's going, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about who you are. And I went, I said, are you for real? I said, you're Leslie Phillips. You're a British icon. I said, icon. Listen to it, icon. I said, you're a movie legend. He goes, oh, legend, am I? Legend. Oh, mate. Anyway, this story's not going to go much further than what I've just told you. I think someone needs to die in it. I mean, if it ended up with me killing Leslie Phillips, this would have been interesting. It doesn't. It doesn't. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm getting so many scrapes. Who are you? Who are you?
I can actually remember you in London's Burning.
Charlie Mead.
Yeah, I used to love London's Burning because if I weren't going to be a footballer when I was a kid, I was going to be a fireman, and I ended up being neither.
So that came about. Tony Wood asked me to do it. There was talk of me going into EastEnders at that time, funny enough, and I never really wanted to do EastEnders or anything, but there was a talk of it, and he said, "Well, look, don't go into that," because he was a producer Tony Wood, and Tony Wood is the guy who made Towie. He's the guy who invented and nicked it and made it massively successful in this country. And he said, "Why don't you come on London's Burning?" I went, "I don't really want to do that." And then he whined and dined me. You know, I went, "All right." And then I went, "All right, I'll do it." So I didn't get paid very well in it. But my agent at the time, Addison, who's sadly died now, was like, "Don't worry about it, move on, good things, you know, I'm sure the old actor and all that." He did the old stuff and all this stuff. And I was like, okay. And of course, I was a bit lost at it, but I worked out that the appliances, the fire engines, right, because I heard things, were getting paid 3 times as much as I was.
Did you
the rent for the fire engines, for the fire trucks, was 3 times more than I was getting paid. I was
did you say anything?
Look at the trucks and go, "You're getting more than me." The trucks are getting more than me. But it was good fun though, and we did it all. We were all down at Orient, weren't we? So we parked, because it used to be in Southall it was filmed, but the last series were all done over at. So we used to park up at the O's ground, which was interesting, having stones thrown at us now and again.
Is it true you always try to get some sort of Southend related hint into your TV?
Yeah, yeah.
I can remember the one in London's Burning. I remember a scene. I don't know how the hell I remember this, but you were. I can't remember if you were like going on a date with a girl or whatever.
Yeah,
and
Jan.
She was like, it cuts to the scene, and she was like, "I didn't even know South had a football team or something." Like that.
Yeah.
Christ knows how the hell I remember that.
I've got it in loads of things. When I was hosting stuff on telly, I remember I even wore a Southend United shirt when I did a show with Lulu. I was doing a show with Lulu, and I managed to get a Southend shirt on it. Funny enough, I just put a clip up today of me on the Ian Wright show, which was flipping 1999, right, 21 years ago, and I wore a shirt on there. And I remember Mark Beard saying to me, "Is that my shirt?" And I was like, "No, it wasn't. The club gave it to me." You know, I remember ringing the club going, "Can you give me a shirt for this show?" And they were a bit like, "Oh, well, you know, it costs money." So I'm going on these shows, man. You know, I'm promoting the club. So yeah, I've got it in loads of times. EastEnders was the best one though. I got it in there quite a lot of times. So that was funny because we'd always say, "Can you have a little bit of conversation leading into this scene?" So the kid who played my son, I played a QPR fan in it because they said, "What team you're going to be a football fan?" Yeah. So pick a team. So I went, "Well, he's supposed to be from West London." I said, "Everyone, I'm not. It's not going to do West Ham. That's not going to happen. Right? That's just not going to happen." Right? And then I went, "Oh, okay." I thought, you know, QPR. I've got a few friends, QPR players. People have played there. You know, I've got a mate who used to be the announcer there, Billy Rice, and what have you. And I thought, you know, yeah, I'll do that. And so we used to do this thing when I would go to him, my son in it. I'd say, "Oh, we got a tough one on the weekend." He'd go, "Yeah, but Southend, Dad." I go, "Look, listen, you know, they got so-and-so in goal. They got blown so-and-so right back, left back. Not a team that we mess with. Ain't going to be a pushover this one." So I'd get players' names in there as well. It's always get something Southend. Yeah, a lot of times I have deliberately got it in there, yeah.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, that's class.
Yeah. What have you made of the last 3 to 4 years of this Southend, the last 3 years of struggle, should we say?
Well, I think, you know, what I said, I think when Cavendish went, I think that was a big nightmare. I know that Gary Locke tried, didn't he, to do a bit with it, but that wouldn't work out. And I think there was mixed things with other people at the club. I'm not going to mention any names, of course. I think I don't know, as far as Ron is concerned, where he is, where he wants to be as a person, really, and where he wants to take the club. I think, where we're living now in the day and times that we're living, not a Corona living. I mean, as in, football really does reflect society, doesn't it? And I think, there's going to have to be a big money injection for us to keep going and all clubs to keep going ready. So, and I think a bit more management would help with that. Me personally, with the managers, I never ever understood the Kevin Bond thing. I didn't know if they, certain people wanted to have Harry Redknapp around. Maybe it was they wanted the celebrity of Harry. I don't know. I found that a really weird one. I think, of course, it's hard for me to talk about Powley because he's a really good mate of mine. I think he was very unlucky with a lot of injuries, But if I was going to give the job to someone again and try and steer the ship, I would have put Tilly back in charge personally, and maybe have Adam with him. If I'm completely honest, I was texting the two of them all the time, going, "What are you two doing? You need to get down to the club and get this job," because I know they're both up for it to do it together. Yeah, maybe Kevin there as well, maybe Kevin. But I mean, people were saying I was talking rubbish about Tilly. We've already been down that. But Tilly, if you look at Tilly's failure was the fact that Ron sold everybody. That was Tilly's failure. It wasn't that it was bad management. And I've been lucky to be in certain dressing rooms with different managers, and Tilly was fantastic with the players. The way he would talk to players was second to none. I've never seen a manager, he would never bollock anyone. He'd be saying, "You're doing that really well." We're always full of encouragement to a player. And then he'd go, "But can you just get a little bit tight on him? Just pick up your game. You're a little bit slack on that." And all. Because, no footballer walks out on a pitch deliberately to be crap. So even if someone's having a bad game, he would never single someone out. He would always encourage. That's the brilliant thing. I thought like with you back there, didn't I? I thought he always encourages. But and that's what I love about Tilly. And again, okay, he's a good mate of mine, but I still think Steve Tilson. And to be fair, when we look back now, Phil Brown didn't do that bad a job, really, did he? When we look at it in hindsight, I mean, love or hate Phil Brown, you'd take him over what came after, wouldn't you? I mean, you would.
Oh yeah.
And it was funny because I went to a dinner. I'm very good friends with Jonathan Pearce, so I always go to the writers' dues and all that with Jonathan, and meet up with like Hawksby and Jacobs and all that. So got good friends like that. I get to go to all these nice things, right? And I remember walking in. It was the one where Pele was supposed to be talking. It was the guest someone up here. He didn't come over because he was not well. Yeah. And I remember he'd just been sacked, Phil. And I literally walked in this door, right? And he looked up from the table he was sitting up straight into my face. And I went, ah. And he went, oh, fuck it. All the people I want to see is you. I was like, you'll be all right. You'll get a job soon. So, you know the story about when I saved him, don't you?
No.
Right. We played Oxford, right? And my friend had a box at Oxford. And he said, come to the game. He said, look, come down to my pub. He said, do a little gig for charity first. And he said, a good thing. And I said, all right. So we did this little charity, 30 minutes, and it was actually good fun. And then we went to the game. And I'm standing in this box. And the box, if I look down, right, in front of me, you've got Phil Brown there on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, you have your man who is now second in charge somewhere else. Doesn't really matter. But I kept shouting out for a laugh, get Jack Payne on, get Jack Payne on. And I could see Phil, I could just see him sort of thinking, who is that? Keep shutting that down, man. Go, shut up, Southend fan. I was going, so I thought it hilarious. I was going, get Jack Payne on. Get Jack Payne on. So eventually he puts on Jack Payne. I think I was right. I think the whole game turned round when Jack Payne came on. Of course, then Phil gets sent off, if you remember. He gets sent to the stands. He sits down, and I think he's a bit of a bottle job, to be honest with you, right? He sits down next to this big geezer, right? Starts giving him shit. And you can see Phil going, I can't see it, can I? They're all giving him shit, man. And I'm going, Phil. And he turns around and sees me. I said, look, it's me. It's Terry Alderton. So it's Terry from EastEnders, right? Well, I thought you're talking about Terry Alderton, right? So he comes up, and then he's like, we're like two kids scrumping. He's trying to get his leg over the wall, and I'm pulling him over this wall. And he gets over and he goes, "Oh," he said, "I'm so pleased about that." He said, "Because that big bloke's going to fucking punch me face." And then the best thing was, I think it wasn't very long, and then we went down, and I went down, and I said, "Look, I'm just going to go and check everything is all right." So I went down the tunnel, I walked in, and Phil was going to have some grub. And when I walked in, I remember, what was that? Deegan. Him giggling his head off at me. And going to everyone going, "Look, it's Terry. He's a funny little thing, right?" And he said, and then Phil went, I can't believe it. He said, "I've got to do a press conference for Chris in a minute." And he said, "I'm going to have to tell him that I got rescued by Terry from EastEnders." And I thought, "Oh God, it's like Barry from EastEnders, isn't it? Terry from EastEnders. Terry, who is Terry from EastEnders?" So that was that. I saved Phil Brown that day. I mean, I say I saved him, but I saved him from humiliation. Yeah. So. But yeah, going back over what your first question, yeah, it's a mess. It's a complete mess. And I hate it. And I hate it so much. We've conceded more. I think with this a record, and it's got to be a record with any club, not just Southend. The amount of games we conceded this year.
Got to be getting there, yeah.
I mean, there was one point we conceded. I mean, it was like 2.9 goals a game. So 3 goals a game, man.
Fucking amazing.
Being beat 4-0 and 3-0, and the games as well where you go, "Oh, we're 1-0 up." And I can't remember what game it was. I went wait for it, and then we lost 4-1. I can't remember that was against towards the end there. But for me, I'll speak out of term here. Campbell, not for me, man. Sol Campbell, not for me. Not for me. Not. He's seen some of the selfies he takes of himself.
Yeah, he's an odd one.
Yeah, odd one. Look, listen. His monetary business is not my business, right? But he's rumoured to be worth 50 million, right? Mm. And he's going, "Well, we can't get players in." And I've heard what he's on. And I'm thinking, well, why don't you take your wages and get some players in and do it for nothing if you're just doing it for the love of it? Because you're worth fortunes, Yeah. Anyone listening to that, I just think I'm talking out my arse. Probably I am, but he's not for me. He's not for me. And that's what I'm saying. If you'd had Steve involved, I know there was a lot of trouble. I think, with Ranger, I know that Steve kept Ranger really in check. That's why we had Ranger for so long, because Steve kept him in check, and of course then the rest of that is history as well.
Yeah,
which is a shame. But we never replaced anyone. We haven't replaced Lenny. We never replaced. I mean, Dave Worrell's career went to shit after, bless his heart. But for us, he was brilliant. We never replaced Worrell. We never replaced Timlin. Should never let. I mean,
that one was criminal.
He should never have let him go. He was the best utility player we had. Of course, then Coker's just brilliant. I'm going to be a first division player. 28, and the biggest club you play for is Southend. I don't, you're resilient there, son. And I did love Coker. I loved him. And, I wish he hadn't gone, but, it's his life, isn't it? And he's got, but we never replaced any of these people.
You're spot on. There's so many we just haven't replaced.
Timlin would have dropped in there. So nothing got replaced. The signings were, who was the kid that we got from Kilmarnock who came on loan? Oh, Bo always goes on about how we never signed him. We never. Oh, let me ask him quick. Bo! What is that?
I can't think who that is.
No, I think, no.
The black kid.
Yeah, what was his name? Yeah, the fast winger. What was his name? Do you remember?
I can't think.
He's forgotten. He's usually brilliant at that. He's let me down. Can't remember. Beginning of the season, he was a little black on the right wing, I think it was. He was rapid. I'm thinking he came from Kilmarnock. And he came from Dagenham, did he? He came from Dagenham. But they didn't sign him, Bond didn't he came from Peterborough.
Oh, what the one we didn't sign?
I know who you mean now.
Yeah,
I can't think of his name, but I don't. It was this summer, wasn't it?
Usually he's mustard. And the other one, there was other people I remember. I know there was sniffs about, like Jody Jones, and when I went and saw us play at Dagenham, it was only down the road to me, and I remember watching Jody Jones come in. He was 17, and there was a sniff that he might possibly be. And there were the little things that I would go, well, and he ends up at Coventry, missing out on.
The scouting's weird. We don't seem to. There's so many players down the years that are local. Like how the hell we've never had Ricky Hutton? I'll never know. How have we never had him?
In there, what happens when we all know that that Coxie. Everybody loves Cox. Hey, when that game was up, you thought that they would have known that, and then he's older Holmes now. I know, but he's still flipping brilliant. He's from Rayleigh or somewhere, isn't
he? Yeah, I think so.
And all right, we had Adam. He's from Rayleigh, but what? Isaac Ricketts.
Yeah. I remember him now.
So there's I just think it's being badly run, isn't it? And it's no one's fault apart from I just think Ron, bless him, I just think he's biting off too much, and I think he should have tried to hand it over to someone else. But maybe he wants to save money. I don't know what his financial situation is.
No, but on Sol, I'm with you. I'm not totally sold.
Have you seen the selfies? These selfies, man.
It's like a teenage girl, and the way he captions them.
But I'm not. Listen,
we need some stability. That's been the biggest problem over the last sort of 4 years. We've had 100%. More managers in the last 4 years than we had in the previous 14 years or something like that. So we need to desperately get back to some form of stability. The danger I think we've got this time around is, well, first, I don't think we'll sack Campbell because I surely don't think we can afford to, even if we wanted to. I think there's a greater chance he'll end up walking away because he'll get fed up with not being able to sign a player.
Well, let's hope so, because from what I've heard, he's on some dough.
Yeah, it's
big dough, man. So
I think the only way he goes is if he walks, and then again we're still unstable. It's a big concern. I don't see. Listen, forget the coronavirus lockdown. I think we're far from out of this
I think
spiral.
I I remember saying a long time ago about House of Cards. When Stockport folded and then Hereford folded, and I said, this is going to keep going unless it gets backed, from the bigger clubs. And of course, this season's happened the way it has. But previous to the season, of course, what with Bury, if that can happen to Stockport and to a degree, Tranmere as well, I think struggled. Bournemouth is a story where Bournemouth 2 minutes ago were painting their own stands and had nothing. I mean, nothing. But someone's come in and given them money. And I just think, unfortunately, the world we're living in now, that's the only way it can survive, And what doesn't help is this whole ground thing, just dragging its feet. And we all know that, if you put a 22,000 seater in Southend and the team's doing well, they'll sell that ground now. They'll sell it out every week.
No.
What?
Isaac Buckley.
Isaac Buckley. I thought you were telling me no, that they wouldn't sell out.
That's what I thought you were saying.
There's no one there. No one exists in here. It's just all me. I think that dragging the feet with the ground. That's another thing that's getting on everyone's nerves. Then you hear rumours that it's going to cost 185 million or something. And you're like going, what? But to have these corporate rooms and keep it afloat like that, I think these are important things. Plus, it's not like we're Hull or we're Plymouth. We're not that far from London, so players are going to come and play for us.
Yeah,
you're going to get good players going, well, I can still live in, Barnet and
jump on the train. Yeah,
jump on the train. So I think it's all positive, and I do know. As I mentioned by mistake on TalkSport, I do know an ex-Premier League player that's trying to get a consortium together, which I can't tell you. But, he's one of his friends is very, very wealthy, but it's going to take more than just him. It's going to, have to be other people. And I've been trying with my very wealthy friends as well. But the problem is they don't want to get involved too much in football because, there have been death threats and stuff, and people get threatened and they don't want to borrow that, which is a real shame. It's a real shame. One of my friends in particular is very, very wealthy, but he's saying his ex-brother-in-law bought into Dagenham and he got so much, and he saved him, and he got so much threats, and he's like, oh my God. So one of my friends was like, I don't really want to borrow this, so it's going to have to be someone who's really into the club, You know, I went Chris Eubank again. Don't know why. Someone who's really into the club. I don't know why I did that. You know, and I think that's what's going to have to happen. And I think it's going to have to be a whole new regime as well. I think it needs to start afresh totally. You know, and no disrespect to Ron. You know, Ron gets a bad press now. And you know, if Ron hadn't come in all those years ago, you know, there's so many times this club would have gone under. You know, it does get a bad press, and it can't be easy to run a football club. You know, and keep it going financially and everything. So I've got to be honest with you, I might get shut down for this, but you know, I feel a bit sorry for Ron really, because you know, when he and his partners first came in just to buy the club and make money out of the ground, he actually sort of fell in love with the whole thing, didn't he? So and didn't let that happen. I don't know.
I agree with you. I do. I kind of feel sorry for him as well.
I think people should never go at Ron too much. I think he's. You know, it's not easy, is it? You want to run
better the devil you know sometimes, isn't it?
Better the devil you know, but maybe it's time for just a whole new change. You know,
yeah. I totally agree with you. I think it's the ideal if he sells up.
Oh, and he's not a young man anymore, is he? Like, how old is Ron now? He's
not that old, but he's going to be pushing. He must be in his 60s. He's not old, but he's a toboggan champion.
Stressful.
Yeah. It's a tobogganist. I can't believe it was a toboggan. I thought someone was winding me up. Well, he's not a tobogganist.
I did. I thought it was a joke.
No, I looked it up. He was. He was an Olympiad. Olympian, or whatever you call him. Olympian. But, yeah, so I never run anyone down. You know, I truly believe everyone's trying to do their best because, you know, there was money to be made out of that ground. And I think the rumours always hear that Southend Council say there has to be a football club in Southend. But, you know, look what happens at Brighton. They were playing at a silly little running track. So there's no way to say he could have sold that ground for millions and gone, oh, you're playing there now.
Yeah.
In that park. So we'll never know. We'll never know everything. We never will. We will never know everything.
On the stadium, though, listen, I know the plans have changed hundreds of times, but I think you just want to see it start now, don't you? I'd love to drive down there like it's... I coach a football team. When I drive over there, I drive past where the site would be, and I'd love it every Saturday morning to just drive past that and see this being built. Just to finally see it being built, it'd be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's one of those things, isn't it? I will be very sad when we leave Roots Hall. I'll be absolutely gutted. But every time I turn up to games, I go, "This is such a shithole." This is such a shit ground, and I love it. Yeah. Don't get me wrong; it's a bit like weird, Britain, isn't it? It's just like it's just like us English. Isn't it? It's a rickety old lump of shit, right? And it's a mess, but you can't help loving it, can you? You can't help waiting to get back. You know, it's like when you go to Spain or you go to Barbados or somewhere really beautiful, or you know, some swanky part of New York, and you're thinking, God, you know what I miss? That shitty old fucking Essex hole. I can't wait to get back. You know, you get off that plane and you like see some miserable, you know, security guard looking at you going, "Oh, I'm back," and it's got miserable weather, but you kind of love it, and that's a bit like I love it. I love it. I love the miserable staff. I love the girls selling the burgers who they don't give a shit about anything but £7.80 or whatever it is they're earning. That's fair play to them. I love everything about it. I love that Frankie Banks is there with the same haircut since 1955. Love everything about it. And then seeing old Crowney come out after he's done his little bit in the thing, looking like Rigsby. Looks like Rigsby. A couple of spears, and he looks like Rigsby. So I love it. I love that ground so much, man. And I love where I sit. And I just being a Southend United fan is just it's my thing. It's my one thing out of me being the comedian and the dad and everything. You know, it's my, and it's even my mouse snapper, even my mouse snapper. You know, even my window cleaner who lives in Waltham Abbey is a Southend fan. That was just by chance. I didn't do that. When I kennel my dogs, the name of the road they go to Southend Kennels on Southend Road. That's coincidental, but that's where I'm at, man. They honestly do. If you want to look it up, you can. It's down in Epping, Southend Kennel.
So, what would be your all-time Southend 11 if you had to pick one?
Oh, Oh, that's not fair.
You know, we'll do a 4-4-2 with standard wingers.
That's really not fair. That's not fair.
I hadn't even thought to ask you this.
Well, goalkeepers again, haven't we? We've got goalkeeper problem again. I'm going to go with Flads in goal. I think just purely because I just think for me, I used to love watching Flads play, and he was always for me. He won 3 times, wasn't he? Player of the season, I think, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
2 or 3 times. Consistent. When his brother sadly died, he still turned out that Saturday and played.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd have Flads in goal. I'm gonna have to have Paul Clark at the back, man. I'm gonna have Clarkie's got to be in there. I have to have Clarkie in there. Definitely. I'll have Pally out on the left. Do you know? I mean, there's so many right-wing players I can think of who've been brilliant over the time, but I'm going to give that spot to, and I'll tell you why first, because I just love him as a footballer, and I love that he goes out and puts things on Instagram of him in a field with cows and shit, and his big long bike rides, and he's broken his arm twice for the club. So I probably, just because, out of loyalty, I'd put Johnny White there at right back. And then the other centre spot, of course, it's going to have to be Adam, isn't it? It's got to be Adam Barrett in that other spot. In the middle, God, this is tough, isn't it?
These are, isn't it?
See, the thing is, you've got the utility players that have been brilliant, haven't you? And you've got, I would want to start putting Tilly in there as one of the greatest utility players we've ever had, Steve Tilson, and I'm definitely going to put Kevin Mayer in there. I loved Kevin Mayer. Kevin Mayer was fantastic. Brilliant. And for nostalgia's sake, I'm going to put Glenn Pennyfather. We're going to put Glenn. He's a real swap around, man, wasn't he? Let's put Glenn out on the left. We're doing 4-4-2. We're Glenn out on the left.
Well, it's up to you. It's your team. It's up to you.
Oh yeah. See, I'm doing it because of the people I love. Oh yeah, but hold on. This is impossible. See up front. Who do you have? Billy Best up front. Who do you have? You're gonna have to have Freddie, and definitely gonna have Freddie up there. There's no doubt about that. No, do you know? No. Maybe out on the left wing, I might have Mark Gowie. So this is hard. This is really hard. Flipping out. Could put Roy McDonough in there somewhere, couldn't we? Shane Wesley. Hold on. We've got Brett Angel. We've got, what's his name?
It is hard.
We've got Austin as well. What do we do? This is impossible. It's impossible. Benji. Andy Answer. It's impossible. I'm going to be rubbish. And
to be fair, when you spell it all out like that, it is hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really hard. And then I go right back to the flipping really old ages, like I was saying about Billy Best and people like that. I mean, Steve the Inch Phillips. Stevie, he had the biggest legs in the world. It's unbelievable. Steve Phillips, I don't know. It's too much. That back line, though,
It's a solid back four.
Yeah,
back five.
But then I'm thinking of others that you could stick in there as well. Maybe like what was his name? Peter Thingy. Who was the one who scored the equaliser at Chelsea?
Peter Clark.
Yeah, Clarkie. People like that.
We've been
Nathan Jones, Riverdance, we used to call him.
Ricky Otto as well.
Ricky Otto. Ronnie Whelan. It's too hard. My mate listened to this. He'll kill me now. We're going, why don't you mention me? Phil Gridley. You go.
You could make it as a manager then. You would like to pick your best 11. I'd
be terrible. I'd do it. I'd definitely go Paul Clark and Adam at the back. No doubt about that.
Yeah. To be fair, you rolled off the back four pretty easily. That's quite a solid.
Yeah, and I'd go for Johnny White because I just love Johnny White. He's steady. He's a gentleman.
I love John White. I think he must be an absolute dream to manage. I don't know, but just from the outside looking in, I think he must be a
He's a bright man, isn't he? He's not silly.
Yeah, absolute pro. because we've had about 5 managers now that have put him in the team. So he's obviously very coachable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favourite goal? What's your favourite goal?
Favourite goal? Wow.
What's your
Favourite or best goal I've seen? Without a shadow of a doubt, the best goal I've seen.
Let's go screamers first.
Alan McCormack's volley at Preston. Best goal I've seen in the flesh, without a doubt.
Yes.
What a goal that was.
And I know Alan really well.
Oh, is it? Yeah, that was. I was there for that as well. That was an absolute screamer.
He's nothing like he's on the pitch there. That is a great goal. I'll tell you another one. Do you remember Surly's goal? It was right over on the where I was sitting.
Yeah, I remember.
It was right on the halfway line, and he just hit it from the left-hand side, West Bank, right across to the other top corner. And also Johnny Nielsen's goal. Do you remember that one? It was a right whoosher. Fight me before your time, Johnny Nielsen. It was just cut over the halfway line, directly in front of the goal. He hit it, and the ball went, it goes, it just rose and lovely. Right, what's your favourite goal though? Like,
feel good goal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't pick Piggott's goal, I mean, come on.
That one. And forgive me for not knowing the goal scorer. The drawing goal against Colchester when we were 3-1 down. That is one of the greatest moments. That was another time I nearly lost my shit. I went mad. I went down. I went down, started going, screaming, you absolutely horrendous. And that was also the same. The next season, I think, I've got to give it to Collier actually, is when they sang that brilliant song to us. What's that coming over the hill? It's relegation. Well, you got to give them that one. Oh, horrible bastards.
Piggott's goal was.
Piggott's goal was unbelievable.
I've got three, and they're all really memorable. Like a lot of people would have these in their top 3. Is that Joe Pigott one? Yeah. The Humphreys goal against Sunderland last year.
Oh yeah,
because that was we were like you're dead and buried. That's like 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Not only 2 minutes of the game left, 2 minutes of the season left.
Yeah. Well, after that game, he texts Powley. Don't tell anyone I told you this. He texts Powley on a podcast. He texted Powley and said that one was for you, Gaffer.
Oh, did he? Oh, it's quite nice, I guess, but
he did sign him, I guess.
That's a great player. He shouldn't be playing in this league, man.
Nah.
That's what honestly, I so wish he could stay fit. It's because it's not even, you can't even get annoyed with him because he's not like pulling hamstrings every game. He's getting his face smashed in. So you feel so sorry for him because he keeps getting these horrendous injuries.
Unbelievable.
He can't breathe properly. He's got to wear a soppy mask, and you just think, if he could get like completely fit, he'd blow this league away.
Absolutely, we wouldn't keep him.
No.
Yeah.
He's absolutely sorry. Anyway, I interrupted. Well, and what was the third goal?
Duncan Jupp at Cardiff.
Oh, Jupp.
That was amazing. That.
Love Jupp.
Yeah.
That was at Cardiff.
He's still so humble about that.
He's
I remember,
such a lovely man.
He's a nice bloke. Because there was that charity game just over a year ago, wasn't there? Got the two teams back together.
Yes.
I had a chat with Juppy in the bar after that game, and he's still so like humbled that people want to come and talk to him. Yeah, he's such a nice bloke.
he's a PE teacher now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a lovely boy, Juppy. I'll tell you what also freaks me out is when you see Freddie's boy, when you see Freddie Eastwood's son.
It's ridiculous.
Because I saw him when he was about 10, and we were at Burton, and he was with his granddad, of course, Freddie's dad. And Freddie's dad.
Freddie.
Yeah, another Freddie. So Freddie's dad, who was Freddie's dad, and also the granddad, and he was about, I don't know, 32. I've been trying to work on Tyson Fury actually, but I don't get Jesus Christ, Lord Jesus Christ, best fighter. Anyway, I saw him as about 10, and then I saw him, I think last season before this one, and I could not believe how much he'd grown. But I was like, you're your dad. I mean, you look exactly
weird
like his dad. It's
insane.
Freaky.
It's scary.
Freaky, and if he comes through and he comes good, wouldn't that be brilliant? If he comes through and then we've got Freddie Eastwood playing for us again, looking like Freddie Eastwood did. It's a bit wonky, isn't it?
Need to get Tilly back in as manager.
Yeah. Oh, I love Freddie. I remember Tilly, I always used to say we had this row. It wasn't a row, it was a heat thing. I'd say, listen, you've got to get those players wearing studs, man, because this blade shit, they're all falling over all the time. And he went, yeah. And I can't remember the game. I think it might have been the cup final of the Johnson's Paints against Crewe. And then, Freddie came off and changed his boots. Do you remember that? He came off and changed his boots.
I remember him changing his boots, no.
Yeah, he came off, changed his boots and came back on again. And then until he went to me, well, what do you think he did? You know what he did? He put his blades on because he was falling over in his studs. And I went, really? And he went, yes, you can shut up about that now, can't you? Put his blades on. So, yeah, but what a player. But I loved it when him and Gower. That whole Gower and Mayer and Freddie and all that I loved that team so much.
Yeah, that was a class team. That, as I said, I know we got promoted again since then in 2015, and don't get me wrong, that was a great team as well. But
yeah,
you can't top a title-winning team. We won the league with that team. That was an unbelievable
team. And then
team.
the only other time that was it's exciting, of course, like going back to Brett Angel and Ricky and all that, Ricky Otto and Powley and Andy Answer. And I've spoke to. In fact, every time I see Barry Fry, he always says to me, shouldn't have left, should I? I shouldn't have left. Because he still regrets it to this day that he went. Because he firmly believes that team would have gone up. And I think it would have.
He said that he thinks we could have got to the Prem. Well,
I think they would have. I think they would have done it.
First division then.
First division, but I think they would have done it. I definitely do. Because if you watch, because of course lockdown, I've been watching loads of stuff on YouTube. And I watched that season, and then, of course, that brilliant game against Millwall when we smashed Millwall. That was the first competitive game at the New Den, that was.
Right.
Yeah. A little bit of crap information for you.
Oh, what, on the...
Yeah, we smashed it. I think we beat them 4-1, didn't we?
Yeah, I've seen that. It's on that Southend History YouTube account, is it? Southend History?
Yes, yeah. But you can watch the whole game.
To be fair, they've been uploading loads, to be fair.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been really good.
I was about when this all started. I thought, right, I'm not going to. I was in Saturday. I made a bacon sandwich, and then I went right. I just sat and binge watched loads of Southend games. Loved it. Bacon sandwich, Southend games.
That's what I've been doing. So I kind of thought if I'm not gonna watch these videos now, I'm never gonna watch them.
No, that's right. Yeah, you want to do it now? Yeah. And I flipping. And you forget things as well. You're like, oh my God, I forgot all about that player. There's players you completely forget about, or players you just go, I don't even remember you.
Yeah. I'd quite like to go in and watch stuff that was before my time.
Yeah.
So the early '90s stuff, I'd love to go in and watch all that.
Yeah.
Because people speak so highly of that team. So it was obvious. Like I speak very highly of the 2005 team. And the 2015 team, because they were like my era, like that was when I was sort of growing up. But people that are sort of like 10, 15 years older than me, that's when they were that age.
We remember that.
Yeah. And so it obviously must have been a great time. So I'd love to go back and.
It was really good times. I go back as far. My first manager was Dave Smith. That's the first manager when I was a fan. Dave Smith. You don't even know that. He had the maddest haircut. It was those like a bald head like me, but he had the big, sort of just this big.
It was clinging onto it.
Yeah, he had it just round the back.
Yeah, just shave it, mate.
And I think he won the title, didn't he? 81, wasn't it? 81, I think, something like that. Yeah, 81, just before I started going. Yeah, they won the title. I used to go to the games, right, where you could watch it at one end, and then in the second half, you would all walk up to the other end.
Yeah,
it was crazy times, and we'd have there'd be like 750 people there, and people with dogs. I mean, there were people with dogs there.
Literally was a man and his dog.
Yeah. And do you remember as well? I was saying this the other day. Do you remember we used to play loads of Friday night games? We don't do that at all anymore, do we?
Nah, I love a Friday night game.
We were the real Friday night club, weren't we? And the reason behind that, why, don't you?
West Ham on Saturday.
So they think they get more. I hate that. I hate that when you get them fans in there. What I really hate? I would never do it, even not that any Premier League club would care if I turned up at a Southend shirt. I would never go to someone else's ground with a different shirt. People sit there with Chelsea shirts.
Yeah.
I really...
I've seen that.
I really hate
the kids. Even the kids, you think, the parents don't wear that.
Yeah. I'll admit, this season, maybe don't buy them the Southend shirt, but just wear wear a Fred Perry shirt. So you ain't got to wear a shirt. You ain't got to wear a Liverpool kit, have you?
It's disrespectful that you tell. Yeah, it's like what are you saying? Oh, I've just turned up. Or you get someone sitting behind you doing that thing, going, "So who's he play for? And you go, what's his name?" And then the other thing goes, and he doesn't really know either. And then they just talk bullshit, and you're just sitting there listening to this drivel, and you're just thinking, mate, you don't even know what you're on about. And then they go, "Come on, box it, box it, box it." And you're going, you don't even support the club. What's with all this box it shit? Box it.
There's a guy sits a little bit in front of me. He's always got a Sheffield Wednesday jacket and cap on. Always. He's there every week, so he's obviously a Southend fan. Without fail, he's got some sort of Sheffield Wednesday gear on.
That's bonkers.
But you're speaking of people that like aren't really fans. My uncle came to a couple of games this season. Never been to a Southend game in his life. Like he's just moved to the area, but he's a Tottenham fan. But we took him to a couple of games at the start of this season. He didn't come to many more after that. But after the first one he watched, got back in the pub. First thing, you got to get a new goalkeeper.
Right. Yeah. I love that. It's great. Well, let me let these dogs in, so don't drive me mad. Shut up. Yeah, it's brilliant when they couldn't give a shit, but then they give you their 2 pence, don't they? They start telling you it was rubbish, and you'll be like going,
Yeah.
Well, I saw Michael Cotley the other day. I was at Talk Sport doing something, and I saw Michael. He's a lovely lad. He is. He's such a nice boy. When we were talking, he was being very candid with me. You know, he's obviously he got old. He's only young. Do you know what I mean? But he obviously knew that his time was up because we were talking about things, and he went, "I can't do that anymore. I can't do it." And I thought, bloody hell, you're only like 32 or something.
It's sad that. I think that's really sad when.
Well, it's like Freddie, isn't it? When his legs went, you could just sell it. Gone.
32, he retired. 30. You think how good he was when he was 22?
Yeah.
And he retired at 32.
Yeah, but he did the right thing to retire because it had gone. It finished. It was over. It's a horrible thing that. It hurts, you know. I mean, I don't play at all anymore because it just hurts too much, and I'm terrible. But I'm playing like charity games. I don't do it anymore because I just hit the ground and go, "Oh my god!" I put me flipping Adam's apple out. You know what I mean? You can't do it anymore. You want to do it, but you can't. You just can't do it. And I think when you're playing in front of a crowd, you know that they don't forgive you, do they?
No, it right as such, is it?
Yeah.
Even Freddie wouldn't have been given long. So they would be going, look, you know, can't say anything, but he needs to stop.
Yeah. If it hadn't have been Freddie, second time round, he probably would have got pelted, to be honest.